getting started, we had our previous call and we've talked about what's happening. So Will used to work for stakeholder coaching and he's gone off on his own, which is a good thing. So now I've got more involved with all the stakeholder coaches. Today, I want to talk about two topics. One topic is leadership. Now, Teo, that is what I want to, I'm so happy you're here on the call because what I want to do is decentralize leadership. So rather than having the stakeholder coaching is run from a centralized function, I want people in various regions to kind of lead. So like Teo, for example, in your part of the world, you could be in a leadership role, which would be great. And then I think that's good for everybody. Then I want to talk about a second thing, which is a project I'm working on called the Knowledge Philanthropy Project. Now, David's on the call. So David, if you don't mind, I may call on you because you were part of that other call a couple of days ago where I'm talking about this project. And rather than having two groups, which is the stakeholder group and the knowledge philanthropy group, in some of these phone calls, I'll have everybody on at once because there is overlap and there is difference. So I'll talk about the overlap of the projects and the difference of the projects. But first, in terms of the stakeholder-centered coaching, I'd like you to think about leadership in the stakeholder-centered coaching process from a couple of dimensions. One dimension is the dimension of language or geography. So Teo, you would be like a leader in your area. So Teo, describe a specific geography where you might like to play a leadership role.
So definitely, I'm Romanian, born and raised in Romania, living in Estonia. So Estonia is, this is where I live, and I would like to be part of the team that leads in Europe as well. So
very good.
Yeah.
Now see, this is a very good point because when we look at the concept of leadership, Teo, excellent point. You can look at it on multiple dimensions. One dimension might be the global dimension, leadership in the whole world. A second dimension might be leadership in Europe, for example. A third dimension might be leadership in the Baltics. A fourth dimension might be leadership in Estonia. Now, these are not mutually exclusive, but I really would like to see this on multiple levels of leadership. In some countries, there are tons of people who are interested, like in India, for example. So in India, we could have country leadership in India, yet there's so many people in India. I mean, it's 1/7 of the world. You could have leadership in Mumbai, leadership in various regions of India, various parts of India. So what I'd like to think about is one dimension that would be called country leadership, okay? And let me never said that wrong. Geographic leadership or language, because within India also we have many languages. So some people might speak a different language. Now, a lot of people speak English, yet a lot of my material has not been made available to people in other languages. So for example, my friend Kara might be in a leadership role in Thailand. Well, she wants to translate everything for people in Thailand. That's fine with me. So I think you could be in a leadership role in a country, a leadership role by language. So think of this as a matrix. One dimension might be a geography dimension. Okay, Teo, does that make sense to you? Okay, very good. Now, another dimension might be a content dimension. Now I'm going to talk about another project that I'm working on. This project is called the Knowledge Philanthropy Project. And the Knowledge Philanthropy Project hopefully will be of value to people on this call. And again, some of you may have heard parts of this before, but I'm going to just give you a little context so you can see the evolution of the project and how it ended up to being where it is today. Okay. Now, a few years ago, I went to a program called Design the Life You Love. This program was put on by a wonderful woman from Turkey named Ayşe Bursel. In the program, she asked me, who are your heroes? So my heroes were kind and generous people who are great teachers. She said, why don't you be more like them? I thought, what a nice idea. What a nice idea. So I decided to adopt 15 people, teach them all I know for free. And the only price is when they get old, they have to do the same thing. Very, very simple idea. And then I made a little video and put it on LinkedIn, a very primitive 30-second video. I thought maybe 100 people would apply, and I ended up 15 people. Well, it turned out to be the most widely viewed video in the history of LinkedIn. I have 1.3 million followers, and over 18,000 people applied for adoption. So then that evolved from the 15 coaches to the 100 coaches. Now it's called the 100 coaches, but they're actually 280 people. Now, Teo, you've had a chance to meet some of these people. So what was your reaction to our meeting in California?
I was just happy to be there with all those people, great leaders, to learn from them, connect with them. And I connected with so many on LinkedIn afterwards. It was with Chris as well. And then I did the Stakeholder Center coaching with Chris Coffey. It's just been an amazing acceleration for my journey in coaching and consulting.
Very good. So that was the idea of the 100 coaches. Well, then recently, the same woman, Aisha, who's turned out to be, ended up giving me all this work to do. I should criticize her for this. She and I were working on planning the rest of my life. And she said, well, basically, what do you want to do the rest of my life? And I thought, well, you know, I want to give away as much as I can to as many people as I can. So I'd like to make as big a positive impact as I can around the world. And she thought, well, how can you do that? And then one of the 100 coaches is a woman named Nankande. Nankande is from Zambia. So I was talking to Nankande, and she said, I would love to use your material for people in Africa because I'm training developing leaders in Africa. Okay, very good. And I thought, well, fine, you can do that and translate it however you want to. And she made a good comment. She said, the problem is not just translation. The problem is, does it fit the culture in Africa? Does it really work with these people? And she didn't say this, but the concept of some old white man giving away things to people in Africa, you know, a little skepticism there. So I thought, well, that's a very good point. Then I came up with an idea. I said, look, Nankande, why don't you do whatever you want to do? You use my material however you want to use it. You change it to fit the culture where you are. You modify it however you want. I'm happy to be a supporter. Now, if you write a book, I can't put my name on the book because I have an exclusive contract with my publisher. So it turned out I can't do that. On the other hand, I can endorse the book. I can write a foreword to the book. I can be supportive of you. If you have training materials, if you want to put my name on the materials, go ahead. If you don't, that's fine. Just do whatever you want to do. Well, she loved the idea. So that led to what I call is the knowledge, this project, I call it knowledge philanthropy. So my goal is to make the biggest possible impact as I can. Now, when you talk about leadership, there's two ways to look at leadership. One way is to look at leadership from a geography perspective. So I talked with Teo. That might be, Teo, you would be in your, and you could look at it all the way from Estonia, moving up to the Baltics, moving up to Europe, moving up to the world. So if you look at leadership, you can look at leadership anywhere from local to global. The other dimension, though, might be content. Now, let me tell you some of the things that people have thought of on content, which I really love. One woman said, I really want to use your material for young women. So she's actually writing a whole lot of stuff, putting together training programs on how to use all my materials for young women. Another person said, I want to use your material for young women in India. That's fine. Now, I want you to think of a matrix again. And the idea of this leadership matrix would be on, and rather than have two separate leadership groups, I just want to have one leadership group. And the stakeholder coaching process is run by Frank and Chris. Now, the stakeholder coaching is a business, okay? And that's fine. Part of this is going to be a business. So if you want to use any of our materials from a business point of view, that's fine. That's fine. On the other hand, part of it is not a business. Part of it is for nonprofit. If you want to use it for nonprofit, that's fine as well. So the idea here is I want to give away as much as I can to as many people as I can and limit the time I have left to do it. And I'm 71, so I'm not unrealistic. Very few 71-year-old people are working like I work now. So I can't pretend I'm going to be doing this till I'm about 50 or 101. So this show doesn't go on forever. So I want to make the biggest positive difference I can in the limited time I have left to do it. And so that's the idea. And if you look at another matrix, you see another matrix, Teo, one is the geography matrix or the language. The other dimension of the matrix might be content. Content. So for example, part of the content could be women. But if you look at the intersection, the person who's involved in women in India then would have a support group on the women's side and a support group on the India side. So that's where the two parts of the matrix meet. Another part of the content might be high potential leaders, or like Nankonde. She wants to develop high potential leaders in Africa. So she wants to play a leadership role in Africa. She also wants to play a leadership role for high potential leaders. So that would be two groups. One group, high potential leaders, another group, Africa. Now again, in dealing with all of this stuff, don't look for excessive amounts of logic from me. You have to realize I'm just making all of this up as I go. I'm just making all of this up as I go. There's no playbook here. There's no God in the sky that's come down and explained for me how to do all this stuff. I'm just making it up as I go. So the bad news is I'm making it up as I go. So there isn't some clear, here are the 12 rules to follow. On the other hand, the good news is this gives you an opportunity. Now, David, you were on our other call. Share some of your reactions with the group because I'd like to get your thoughts.
Sure. Well, Marshall, you were very consistent in your message. It's basically a recording of yesterday, so that's good. We got into breakout groups and we shared some of our ideas with each other. We generated some good discussion. We also came up with some questions for Marshall. But we had so many people and it seemed like, I mean, I'm sure with that group and this group combined, we'll have, I mean, almost every geography and every topic we can think of covered. There's a lot of people who are interested in doing this.
Now, David, what's the role that David might like to play?
So yesterday you asked me the same question, and for me, I think my niche would fall somewhere in that matrix with coach development. So I'm interested in the training of coaches, and that includes internal coaches, so manager as coach, and Asia. Good,
good. Very good. And what I want to do is all the people that have been certified, your group will be in a special group because you've all been certified to be coaches. So you can play a leadership role in the stakeholder-centered coaching group as well. And again, very important, people brought up, you know, well, what if it's a business? What if it's not a business? Or, oh, another concern people had is, what about intellectual property? I thought about that. What about intellectual property? And I realized something. I'm a Buddhist. I'm not a religious Buddhist. I'm a philosophical Buddhist. A lot of what I do is based on Buddhism. My new book is called The Earned Life. It's basically a Buddhist book. My book Triggers is basically a Buddhist book. I called Buddha up and I said, you know, Buddha, I use your material all the time. Do I need to send you any money? Buddha said, no, it's okay. Go ahead. Well, I mean, to me, that's kind of my role model on this. Buddha said, only do what I teach if it works for you. And that's kind of the approach I would like to take toward this. I'm going to share everything I know with you. You do what works for you.
Marshall?
Yeah, just a second. If it works for you, use it. If it doesn't work for you, don't use it. And, you know, people said, am I worried about how this would impact my reputation? Not really. You know what? Buddha's not spending a whole lot of time worrying about how if he gives everything away, it's going to impact his reputation. So I think, you know, look, I just want to give everything away and use it any way you want to use it. Any way I can support you, I want to support you. You guys have been nice to me. You've been supportive and positive of my work. So anything I can do to support you, I just want to do my best to support you.
Appreciate that, Marshall. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And so that's basically it. Someone had a, can you raise your hand so I can call on you if you had a question? Wait a minute. Oh yeah, over here, Ashish. or Ash.
Uh,
Yeah,
Ashish, yeah. First of all, Marshall, thank you so much for being so kind. I also follow Buddha, so I can echo completely what you're saying. Uh, and this is so interesting when you talk about content and the leadership role and the merger somewhere in between, the intersect. Uh, how, as a team, are we deciding to govern this? So, for example, if we have to operationalize, how are we going to say that? For example, I'm personally also working a lot upon mental health, specifically for the women in India, and I see a
very
lot of
good.
opportunity. And I see a lot of opportunity to bring in stakeholder coaching because I have interacted with over 2,000 women already, and I see a huge potential in bringing and scaling up the women of India to a level where they can self-sustain themselves.
Yes,
So if I have to really project and get into the trajectory of working for the women in India and have a leadership role, how do we really operationalize this? Because there might be others doing other stuff regionally,
right.
geographically. So how do we do this?
Excellent. Kate, are you on the call?
I sure
Kate.
am.
Okay. Kate looks like me, by the way. Very odd picture for Kate. So Kate, what is your idea?
So I was thinking that later this week or next, we could send out a Google Forms that everyone could fill out. And that'll have some categories and also a place for you to write in what you're looking to do and where, in what country, in what language. And from there, we can organize groups and put you guys together and allow you guys to, form a team and move on with either your geography or your specific segment. So we're going to be moving forward with that shortly.
It's a good idea.
Very good.
Thank you.
Now,
Very good idea.
now, Ashish, you see, I would be very largely involved in the managerial leadership of this project, but I have only two minor problems myself. One is I have, as a manager, absolutely no ability. No ability, I'm just awful at this. But number two, I have actually less motivation. So other than I have absolutely no motivation or ability, I'd be a very good manager myself. So I'm very good at it. I come up with ideas, coaching, teaching. I love all that. Managing things. And now our big project is going to be managed by Antonio Nieto Rodriguez. Antonio is the world's expert on project management. So I've recruited him. He was ranked #1 project management guy in the world. So rather than me manage it, I would much prefer the world's #1 project management guy to manage this than me, since I am totally hopeless in management. So anyway, so I think that would be good. So I lead CEOs, I coach them, but I'm not one of them. So I have no desire to be a CEO myself. No, that's not my role in life. Yeah. Like the guy you mentioned, Sadhguru, I can't imagine him managing anything, right? So, yeah.
No, I understand what you're saying completely echoes. I just wanted to leave you with a thought with the kind of work that I'm doing with the women in India, and if there is a merger that I can bring in.
Now, Ashish, let me give you one suggestion. I think Ashish has got a great example here. I like to talk about real examples rather than abstractions. Ashish, let me give you one suggestion. I can't tell, but you look like a man on this call. So my suggestion is you need an ally who's a woman to work with you. See, I wrote a book called How Women Rise with Sally Helgeson. To me, that's a perfect example of this project. She was the lead author, and I was in a secondary role. I'm not a woman. I'm not an expert on women. And rather than me as an old white man getting up and talking about women, Sally is the leader of the project. She actually wrote the book. It's more her ideas than mine anyway. She wrote the book, and it's been hugely successful. She made over $1 million speaking last year just on this topic. The book got better Amazon feedback than any of my books. So it's been hugely successful. So to me, that project is part of the inspiration for this. I would like to be, in terms of any work I would do with any of you, in a secondary supportive role, not in a primary main person role. In the same way, working with Sally, I was in a secondary role. This was very good for her, and it was very good for me. And also, back to you, Ashish, very important to be sensitive to the fact you're a man, and you got to be careful not coming across as some man sitting there telling women how to live their lives. So, you know, in the same way that in working with Sally, it's been really good because she's the leader, not me. She's the leader, not me, and it's worked out much better that way. Excellent. Let me just call on a couple. Let me call on a couple of more people. And by the way, I'm not going to hold you to this. We're just using this as way of example. Let's take Liliana. Liliana, what sounds like fun to you?
For me, hello, Marshall. First of all, thank you very much. Thank you. I would like, in Portugal, I would like, perhaps it's a small country, so probably for the country. And I would like to be playing a role in training coaches and coaching.
Okay. And again, if you would like to do formally part of the stakeholder center coaching process, I'll introduce you to Frank and Chris, because they're the leaders of this formal process.
Yes.
On the other hand, if you want to do something different, like I said, of special for young women or special whatever that would be, then that's perfectly okay too. That's perfectly okay.
Probably later, but for now, I really recognize this method as very, very important, and it works for me.
Now, do we have the material translated into Portuguese?
No.
See, that's what we need to do.
Yes.
So we need to get the material translated into Portuguese. So this is a great example. So, you know, to the degree we can get things translated into Portuguese, that would be very positive. Because, yeah, so this is good.
I was saying, because even though Portugal is a small country, many people speak Portuguese around the world. Brazilians in Cape Verde, in Africa, lots of people speak Portuguese. So it's very important to translate this for Portuguese.
Very good. Very, very, very good example. Let me call in some more people. How about Michael? Michael, what's the thought from you?
Am I the right Michael?
Yes, Michael, that Michael, you, yes.
Thank you, Marshall. What I'd really like to do, I'm an NLP trainer and I'm an NLP coach. In the NLP training, and I work one-to-one worldwide with people. And what I have already started doing for the past 2 years is actually bringing in bits of stakeholder coaching into my NLP training. Like, for example, when I do a discovery session, I get people to talk to their stakeholders so they have some sort of input of what
Right.
the person should work on the thing. So really what I would like to do is I've got some thoughts of a book on NLP and stakeholder coaching. And I also like the idea, because I've sort of done it before, is to do an ebook, a book, and a course at the same time. Because I used to give courses, and it's much easier to do them all together than it is to redo them. So I would love to do those three things, and I would like to put my hat in the ring for something like being whatever the right word is, for something on NLP and leadership.
Very good. Now, I love that, because here's a point. I am not going to become an expert on NLP. And in fact, at my age, there's 99% of all topics I'm not going to be an expert on. That's not that it's not important. It's just there's only so many hours in a day. And you know, Michael, I love your idea, because rather than you having to say, here's what Marshall does, and here's this, you just write your own stuff and put your own name on it. That way it's yours. You own it. I'm supportive of you. I'm supportive of you because, and by the way, I'm helping you and you're using what I do to help other people. So I think that's a great example. There's no way I would do that on my own. There's no way I would do this on my own. So again, This is a very different concept. So when you think about this whole concept of knowledge philanthropy, it's a very different concept. It's very different because instead of, gee, this is my property and I'm going to sue you and all this other nonsense, right? Basically, this says, look, you do it in a way that's good for you. Now, Frank and Chris, I think, are great role models in terms of using my material in a very positive way, yet it's a business because stakeholder-centered coaching is run like a business. That's great. That's great. And, they're going to have a whole stakeholder-centered coaching business. That's great. And everybody is a different phase of life, which is okay. Now, let's take Teo. Teo, you're a young guy. You're not going to spend your whole life just doing good deeds. I mean, you want to do some good deeds, but you got to make a living. Well, you need to do things that are good for a business. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. And let's take Michael. Now, Michael, let's say you want to use this NLP stuff, okay? And you want to do some materials and writing. Now, let's say as a result of this, you make some money.
Right.
Okay, fine. Look, I don't want some accounting and pain in the ass bookkeeping. I'm going to have a charity. It's called the Pay It Forward charity. Just donate some money to the charity. Now, how much should you donate, Michael? I got some very clear rules. You must follow the rules. You know what you should donate? Whatever you feel like. How's that?
That sounds great.
Yeah, that's it. I'm going to strictly reinforce that rule, though. So you must follow that very strict rule. You got to donate whatever you feel like. Is that I don't want to be so strict, but does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Yeah. The last thing I want to do is a bunch of accounting here. This is very good. This is very good. Let me call in a couple of other people. Olwin. How do I say your name? Olwin?
Olwin.
Yeah. What sounds like fun to you?
So what is fun for me is actually using the stakeholder-centered coaching process with deep professionals who are being called on to a wider leadership role. So they're going from expert professional to global leader. And so they have to scale their leadership. So that's what I'm interested in using. And I've used your model for many, many years. So now I'd like to actually write it up, and with your help and support, that would be great.
Now, these are all great examples. For many people on the call, it's hard for you to think this way because coaches often don't think this way. But in this process, I want you to think of yourself as the customer, because you need to do something that's also good for you and your career. You need to do something that's also good for you and your career. And if you do, you're going to have a lot of energy and enthusiasm and excitement. If you don't, I mean, you're busy. This is going to get old. And it's like a nice idea, but, I'm busy. I've got to make a living, and so you really need to think about it. Now, let me give you one of the people who's one of our coaches and in the 100 coaches. Her name is Jasmine Thompson. Now, Jasmine, a wonderful person. And she said, oh, I want to do this and this. And she gave me this laundry list of things she wants to do. I said, Jasmine, you've got 2 little babies that are 6 months old. You've got a full-time job, and you're working on how to use this in a book for people in corporations. I think that's enough. You don't need to be in some leadership role at this phase of your life. You don't need to be doing 12 projects. That's too much. You got 2 little kids, you got a full-time job, and you're writing a book about this stuff. That's more than enough to keep you busy here. So when you think about this project, a lot of people have sent me notes and they said, I'd like to do, and they list about 20 different things. Well, you're not going to do 20 things because you don't have time to do 20 things. So I would really like you to focus and say, what's something that I can do? And also build your own brand. What's something that you can do to build your own brand as well, so that you're building the Alex brand or the Cindy brand or the Hans brand. Build your own brand, because that would be the ultimate goal. Because to me, all right, back to the Buddha example. Buddha lived 2,600 years ago, yet I am still using his material in my courses every day and in my work every day. Well, why? Because Buddha was generous and he gave everything away. Yeah, Buddha was generous. And if Buddha would have said, you know, copyright material Buddha, I don't think 2,600 years later, people would give a crap about who Buddha was. So, you know, Buddha gave everything away. So Alwyn, your example is perfect. If you can use my...
I was just going to ask you, does it sound real? Does that sound a good area?
I love it. I love it. Okay, now very good. Now, Kate?
Thank you.
Kate, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Now, Kate, is there a way we can break into small groups or you don't know?
I can certainly try. We have about 110 participants.
Yeah, we have about 110 people on this call. We're going to try to break you up into groups of, let's say 4. If that works, great. We'll try 5. We'll try 5. If that works, great. If it doesn't work, please accept our apologies because I'm still trying to figure this out as we go. So Kate, are you going to can you break us up into groups of 5?
I sure am. I'm going to click open all
Wait.
groups.
Wait, we got to figure out why we're breaking up into groups. So in your groups, first, one thing is, do you have any questions? Number 1. And number 2, I want everybody to think about types of things people might want to do, such as young people, such as NLP or other different types of coaching, such as regions, or, you know, what are various roles people in leadership could play, and what's something that you might like to do? And then any advice you have for me, feed forward on how to make the project work. I always teach feed forward. So give me ideas. If I can remember them and use them, I will. If I can, I'll just say thank you. I'll just say thank you, just like feed forward. So does that make sense to everybody? Okay, very good. Very good, very good. All right, okay. Break up into groups. You're going to talk about what are some leadership roles people might want to play? What are some interesting things to think about? Do you have any questions for me? We got 5 minutes. Okay, good. I think everybody's back. Okay, Frank. By the way, let's all hear it for Frank Wagner. Yay for Frank.
I don't need to hear anything. I'm on mute. I can't hear.
You can see.
Basically, I just want to, give, a modicum of clarity, because this is an exciting opportunity for everybody on this call. I think it's going to lead to a very, very positive future. We're going to be able to expand the footprint of Marshall's wisdom much further, much faster, and much better than we've ever done in the past, because of all of you on this call. Just a couple of things when you're thinking about playing, either a leadership role or a thought philanthropy role is to keep this guideline in mind. My goal is to, in a positive way, represent the brand that we'll just call Marshall Goldsmith. So just the way you look at yourself is this going to help in a positive way the brand? And, as an example, I'll just give you an example. So obviously the don'ts are, don't do anything that interferes or violates or brings down the brand on this. So for this to work, don't think of yourself as an individual just looking out for yourself and what you want. This is a collective team. And so do your best to collaborate with other people, and and they should be doing the same with you. Mm-hmm. To make things happen is I mean, one thing that, we're very proud of with our organization is, Marshall would always say, I've never heard any bad things about you guys, and only positives. And this is a very one specific element, and that's the stakeholder-centered coach certification. Mm-hmm. So, but we need help in geographies to make this work. So when you're working on those kinds of things, you work with us. Now, when for instance, there's going to be, I think, a whole team around young people. Mm-hmm. You'll be at some point in time, this is going to be coordinated, and you all work together because you have really two things. If just taking that specific focus is, mm-hmm. we want to help young people and represent the brand of the wisdom of Marshall Goldsmith. It'd be almost like if you're Buddhist saying, I'm not going to do anything that violates Buddha. Well, Marshall mm-hmm. is our Buddha today. So that's just, I just want to give you that suggestion moving forward.
Thank you. Now, I'm glad you brought that up, Frank, because I forgot to mention probably the most important thing. For me, I am a pilot on this project. See, I want to expand this knowledge philanthropy concept way beyond myself and involve other people. Now, Martin Lindstrom has sold twice as many books as me. I shared this with him. Hey, Martin Lindstrom, he said, this is a great idea. I want to do it too. I want to do it too. Alan Mullally is going to be on the call with me. A few of you did a Google search for Alan Mullally net worth. If you look up Alan Mullally, M-U-L-A-L-L-Y, net worth, I think you're going to see he doesn't really need the money. He doesn't need the money. Why is he donating his time? He just wants to make a positive difference. I mean, whatever money he would make from this crap is not worth his time to count. You know, he doesn't care. He's just a good guy that wants to make a difference. So what I want to be is a pilot for other people to do the same thing. So that ultimately you would not just get whatever I know, Frank, which I appreciate, but you get what Alan Mullally knows, and you get what Martin Lindstrom knows, and you get what all these people know. And their idea is to give to people. And then instead of saying, no, this is what I do, why don't you copy it exactly the way I do it? To say, look, here's what I do, and here's what Martin Lindstrom does, and here's what Alan does. Do it any way that's good for you and the people you know. And just use it any way you want to use it. Because to me, everybody's building on something somebody else did anyway. I mean, look, let's face it. I didn't be born with all these ideas that came out of the sky. I mean, Peter Drucker and Francis Hesselbein and Buddha and all these people taught me stuff, right? I didn't invent any of this stuff. And so you're not going to invent anything out of the sky anyway. Everybody's just building on what somebody else did. So I like the idea of just sharing with everybody. And the idea is, you know, maximum benefit, maximum benefit. So that's kind of the idea behind the project. And so I'm very excited about it. We've got about 4 minutes. So really quick, just one quick reflection, because I'm going to try to call on as many people as we can. Let's start in the corner with, we'll start with Janny. Janny, give me one reflection from you.
Sorry, I'm just trying to unmute. Reflection, fantastic opportunity. Can't wait to hear more about what could be co-created in terms of leadership, and amazing to meet so many new people.
Hey, all right. How about Harris? Harris, is that your first name?
Are you speaking to me, Marshall?
Yes.
This is Lori Harris, everybody.
Lori Harris.
Marshall, it's great to see you. In my reflection, first and foremost, gratitude. Secondly, I'm motivated, I'm inspired. And I know for my partner and I, we're very inspired. We're looking at 2 implementations. The first is with the university and an executive education program, and packaging this up so that we can share. So great. That's exciting. The second piece is that I am going to package this up. I am currently a president of a Rotary Club in a large district, and I am taking this and we're doing leadership development series. They're free, not to just Rotarians, but we're pushing it out to the community at large, and we're creating momentum. The flywheel's turning, and it's very exciting. We're implementing the curriculum there, and we're bringing in thought leaders to come and speak to not just Rotarians, but youth are joining this. So we've got Interact and Rotaract and Rotarians, their family members, their friends, and the community at large, our partners, etc. So we're infusing this in a variety of ways through 2 different channels. And thank you, Marshall. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Kate. What we're going to have coming up to everybody is, Kate, can you kind of describe what's coming up?
Yeah, so I think I had talked about before, either later this week or next, we're going to be doing a Google form that we'll send out in an email to everyone that'll allow us to kind of organize people by what they want to do, their geography, and their language. And it'll help us put people into groups.
And, you know, Kate, when can we get out the registration for September 19th?
Very shortly. We have the webinar created, and now we just need to put together the marketing and send out some emails.
Yeah, and my advice is on the September 19th, though, please, if you would like to attend, sign up early, because my guess is it is going to get sold out. Even at 1,000 people, I think it'll get sold out. So what I want to do also is more like this, also though about content. So let's say some of you are interested in young people. So we do a whole session just for people who are interested in doing this for young people. Some people are interested in a certain region. You do a certain segment for the region. So that way you can come to these sessions, and again, you know, come when you want to. Kate, did we record this session?
We sure did.
Good. So we recorded this session. Why? Because Kate is in charge, not me. You see, I was in charge last time and I failed in my effort to record the session. Somebody forgot to tell me to push the button, you see, so I failed. So we're getting better, we're getting better. So finally, again, my honor to work with all of you guys. I hope we have a good time on this project. And let me give you my goal for you. My goal for you is very simple. One day when you're old, you're gonna be doing one of these Zoom calls. And you're gonna see a lot of people like I see you. That's my goal. Thank you. Bye-bye.